one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers examination coachings for UPSC CSE, State Public Service Commission, SSC Combined Graduate Level Exam, and CLAT examinations. So do visit AKS IAS Academy and its website. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan and my credentials are: I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations and internal security and the analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And this session will be certainly helpful for you in regards to prelims and mains examination, because I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases. So by emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, and these keywords and key phrases are very key for you in regards to scoring higher marks in the prelims as well as getting through the mains examination with higher marks. So this, by identifying the keywords and the key phrases, we will definitely get into the mode of having advantage in regards to the factual questions, analytical questions, and also the conceptual questions which will be asked in the preliminary examinations. And not only in the preliminary examination, this session, by emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases, will also be useful for the mains examination, that is in regards to the answer writing. So answer writing is the main key for you as a civil servant aspirant to score higher marks, and you would certainly score higher marks in your answers, that is in the mains examination, only when your answers are precise and concise. And definitely your answers can be precise and concise only when you have the habit, or you can inculcate the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing for the mains examination. Thereby the answers would be precise and concise, which is demanded by the UPSC, and you will certainly score higher marks in the mains examination and have edge over others and be comfortably placed even in the interview. So definitely it will be useful for prelims, mains, and also for the interview, that is for the year 2020 as well as 2021. And today, now we will take up the daily news analysis, that is of 11th September 2020, wherein my tagline goes ahead with emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases. And before I get into the topic, that is, I would say a very good morning to everyone who is in the live and also in the live chat. So good morning to everyone in the live and in the live chat, and I would also say a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy's daily news analysis to Rahul, Praveen Kumar, D. Suvarna, Ram Kumar, Praveen Kumar, Gopi Nayak, and everyone who is in the live. Also a warm welcome to you all to AKS IAS Academy daily news analysis. And before we get into the DNA of today's newspaper, that is the Hindu newspaper, we would focus or look at the quote of the day. And the quote of the day is: winners are not people who never fail. Winners are not people who never fail, but winners are the people who never quit. So you should definitely get into the mode of not quitting what you have picked up that you would wish to, or your goal. Definitely winners are not people who will never fail, but winners are the people who never quit. So do not quit, try and you will succeed it. And now we will look at the news which is in the Hindu. Through the Hindu we will take up, which will be very important from the UPSC perspective examination point of view. And the news is: have a clear policy. Supreme Court is asking the government of India. So it is the Supreme Court which is asking the government of India to have a clear policy. So now the question is, the Supreme Court is asking the government to have a clear policy on what? So it is in regards to the government has come up during the lockdown period. The government has come up with one scheme, that is loan moratorium scheme. So this scheme was taken up so that the individuals or in regards to the startups, entrepreneurs or businessmen who have availed the loans because of the national lockdown, because of the economic activity being damaged as there was no business revival, so they were not in a position to repay the loan. So for that, the government has come up with a scheme, that is loan moratorium scheme, and we know that the loan moratorium scheme, the deadline was August 31st, 2020. So here the point is that the Supreme Court wanted the government to have a clear idea about whether they are extending the loan moratorium scheme away or apart from August 31st. So definitely the government has made it very clear to the Supreme Court that they have extended it for another 2 years. But the Supreme Court was also asking the government to be very clear on the borrowings which have been made by the individuals or the businessmen in regards to the loan, in the form of the loans, wherein the government, that is the RBI, would put a pressure onto the borrowers that they have to pay interest on interest. So this is the one wherein now the Supreme Court is definitely asking the government to have a clear view about it. That is, the Supreme Court has yesterday has asked the government for 2 more weeks. So it is giving 2 more weeks for the government. Why? To go ahead with a brainstorming session with the RBI. So the Supreme Court wanted the government to have the brainstorming sessions with the RBI and the banks on what? On the crucial issues such as, this is a very, very important keyword for the civil services examination, that is issues on sector specific loans restructuring and charging borrowers, that is in regards to the interest on interest, that is compound interest for the loans which they have taken up. So which the loans were deferred during the moratorium period. Now the Supreme Court wanted the government to have a brainstorming session with the RBI and the banks on the crucial issues like sector specific loan restructuring, and interest on interest. So these are very, very important that the Supreme Court is also looking at it. And in this entire loan moratorium scheme, who is the one who is badly hit or during the national lockdown or during the COVID-19 pandemic situation? The worst it is the individual borrowers. Why? Because now the moratorium period has been end by August 31st, 2020, but no doubt it has been extended for another 2 years. But what is the point is that there is no clear clarity from the government or the RBI that whether they will calculate from the borrowers the interest on the loan. That is very important. So the worst hit are the individual borrowers because they have to pay interest on loan interest, and that is why the individual borrowers are the worst hit. And individual borrowers along with the commerce and industry, that is the one who are in regards to the traders and then power and real estate, have urged the court. So definitely individuals and the commerce and industry, that is including the traders, powers and real estates, have approached the court and they have urged the court that the court has to pass an interim order. This is very, very important information in regards to the conceptual understanding about the entire case of the loan moratorium case, which is being taken up by the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is asking the government and the RBI along with the banks to go ahead with the brainstorming sessions so that they will have a clear idea that the worst hit individual borrowers will have some kind of sigh of relief in regards to the paying of interest on loan interest. And the individual borrowers and the commerce and industry have urged the court to take or to pass an interim order. But the court hasn't gone ahead with passing an interim order, but still it has given an 2 weeks time. That is very important. The individuals and commerce industries have urged the Supreme Court to pass an interim order, but the Supreme Court hasn't passed an interim order, but it has given the government and the banks and the RBI 2 more weeks to go ahead with the brainstorming session. So you have the keywords which you need to focus, which will be very, very useful for you all in regards to the preliminary examination. And not only that, when we are talking about the loan structuring, so what do you mean by loan structuring? This is because of the national lockdown or because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, as they were unable to pay because there was no economic activity or there was a bad hit on the economic activity and the economic recovery was not as expected. So there was a situation that the RBI has come forward in regards to the loan restructuring, and this is a keyword which you need to keep it in mind, which would be very, very useful for prelims as well as mains examination, because there could be a usage of the keyword of loan restructuring or sector specific loan restructuring. On this keyword, there could be a question being framed in the economy in the GS paper 3. And what the individual borrowers are talking about, that is the loan restructuring would not really help them. Because why it will not really help the individual borrowings? Because the banks have already started debiting interest on interest, because the loan moratorium scheme has ended on August 31st. Even though the government has extended the loan moratorium scheme for another 2 years, but the government started debiting the interest on interest after August 31st, that is from the 1st of September itself, they started debiting the interest on interest. That is what the concern by the individual borrowers and the commerce industry, that they wanted the Supreme Court to pass an interim order to make sure that there is a status quo in regards to the interest on interest. And when we are talking about the loan restructuring, this is the one wherein the borrowers will have a facility wherein they can go ahead with extending the loan, and then they can make sure that the terms and conditions can be taken up in regards to the way they can have their own structure. So loan restructuring, they will restructure the loan as per the need of the borrower because of the national lockdown or because of the damage to the economic recovery, as they are unable to pay. And once they are unable to pay, what will happen is the borrowers will definitely get into the mode of being a defaulters, and after certain period of time, if they are not able to pay and they are in the list of the defaulters, so definitely they will further get into the mode of non-performing assets. So to make sure that the borrowers are relieved from being the defaulters and non-performing assets, the RBI has come up with the loan restructuring, and they have come up with the sector specific loan restructuring. And that is what the Supreme Court is saying, that have a brainstorming sessions on two issues, that is on the sector specific loan restructuring and on debiting from the borrowers in regards to the interest on interest. So these are the two keywords which you need to focus, which are very, very important in regards to the economy for the conceptual understanding. Loan restructuring, what does it mean, loan restructuring, and why, what is the importance to restructure the loan so that the borrowers will not be in the mode of as a defaulters, and later on they will not be into the non-performing assets. And once this debiting of interest on interest is being actually started, the individual borrowers credit rating and asset value, individuals borrowers credit rating and asset value has dipped, and definitely it is affecting the confidence of the account holders. So that is why they have approached the Supreme Court, and they wanted the Supreme Court to pass an interim order so that there would be a status quo on the debiting of interest on interest onto the borrowers by the RBI or from the banks. But in spite of making so many attempts by the individual borrowers in the commerce industry, the court was actually on the brink of passing an interim order. Please do understand, was on the brink. It was almost supposed to pass an interim order, but it merely went on to record the version of what government has said. So definitely it has heard the versions being made by the government and by the borrowers, and it has actually, it is deciding to wait for the results. Because why it is waiting for the result is the government has said that the government, on behalf of the government, Solicitor General, that is Tushar Mehta, has told the bench, that is the head of the bench is Justice Ashok Bhushan, wherein he has informed the Supreme Court, that is the bench, on behalf of the government, that is Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, that the government is going ahead with the deliberations, and those deliberations are at the highest level and they require some time, and that is why the Supreme Court has heard, or else they have recorded the version from both the sides, that is from the government and the borrowers, and they have waited and they have given 2 weeks time, and they wanted to make sure that they will be hearing this case on September 28th. On September 28th, and the government also made it very clear that in regards to the loans, specific sector loans restructuring and debiting, that is interest on interest, the government has made it very clear to the Supreme Court that it has formed an expert committee. It has formed an expert committee. So by making these statements, the Supreme Court has recorded the statements or the versions from both the sides, and it has kept the hearing scheduled for September 28th. And before I get into it, I would say a very good morning to everyone. The one who have joined, that is Prithvi Raj, J. Rajkumar, Hasmat, Harike Yadav, Madhavi Madhapuram have all joined. And a warm welcome to you all to AKS IAS Academy. And Madhava is asking, he has posed a question, is it applicable to like LIC, etc., sir? Yes, any loans, it is even personal loans. For example, an individual who has taken a home loan from LIC, so definitely it is applicable. It is applicable, Madhava, because if suppose I have taken a loan, home loan from LIC, so even I would be part of the loan moratorium scheme, and I would be also having that interest on interest, paying of the interest on interest. So I will also be part of it. So it is applicable to any individual who have taken loan from XYZ institutions or organizations. And Harshavardhan has also joined. A warm welcome to you, both of you. And there is another news in regards to the Supreme Court seeks Attorney General's aid in Bhushan's case. So this is an case which has been in news for almost a month, but we need to understand why is it in today's newspaper. And this is very important for you in regards to the conceptual and application point of view for prelims and mains examination, because the Supreme Court is seeking, it is asking the Attorney General. Who is Attorney General? K.K. Venugopal. Who is Solicitor General? Tushar Mehta. Attorney General and Solicitor General. You need to know the difference between Attorney General is the first law officer, and then he is the deputy to Attorney General. So Attorney General is K.K. Venugopal, and then Solicitor General is Tushar Mehta. So the Supreme Court has reached out to Attorney General, that is K.K. Venugopal. Why? So it wants the Attorney General to act as a amicus curiae. It wants K.K. Venugopal or the Attorney General to act as a amicus curiae. That is, what do you mean by amicus curiae or amicus curiae? That is an impartial, being an impartial advisor to court of law. So Supreme Court wanted the Attorney General to act as an impartial advisor, because K.K. Venugopal, when the court has gone ahead with finding guilty on Prashant Bhushan, that is civil rights lawyer, in regards to making a statement or tweeting against the Chief Justice of India, then the Supreme Court has found guilty, and then when the Supreme Court has found guilty in regards to the civil rights lawyer, it was Attorney General K.K. Venugopal who has made a clear statement to the Supreme Court that you should not, find guilty, or you should look at the case at a different part in regards to the contempt of court which is being against the Prashant Bhushan, that is civil rights lawyer. So for that, now the Supreme Court has reached the Attorney General that he should act as a amicus curiae, that is impartial advisor to the court of law, and not only act as amicus curiae but assist with legal questions raised in the contempt case initiated against the civil rights lawyer, that is Prashant Bhushan. And here what we have seen, the Supreme Court has found guilty in regards to the civil rights lawyer, that in regards to contempt of court, because he has tweeted. But now there is another case which is still pending or going on against the civil rights lawyer, that is he has made remarks on the judicial corruption. So in an interview to Tehelka magazine in the year 2009, Prashant Bhushan has made a statement or remarks in regards to the judiciary, saying that there is corruption which is prevailing in the judiciary, and that is the question now, wherein the Supreme Court is taking it as a suo motu, and then a contempt of case is being booked under Prashant Bhushan. And now the Supreme Court, now it wants the Attorney General to act as amicus curiae and assist the Supreme Court with legal questions which are raised against the contempt cause in regards to the Tehelka magazine 2009. Please do understand, earlier the court has given, or it has said that okay fine, you can pay a 1 rupee fine. 1 rupee fine. So Prashant Bhushan has accepted, and the civil rights lawyer, and he has made the payment. He has accepted that he will make the payment. But now the case is not in regards to the tweets. Now the case is, which the Supreme Court will take up as a suo motu in regards to the contempt of case, is in regards to the remarks made by the civil rights activist or lawyer on the judicial corruption. That is, that the judges who are still present, or who have retired, who are present and then who have retired, who are working or who have retired. So now the question is on the whether an individual can make a remark on the judicial corruption. That case is now the contempt of case. Please do understand. And that is being now led by Justice A.M. Kalvilkar. And here what is important is a senior advocate, that is Rajiv Dhawan, has been suggesting since almost 2-3 weeks, right from the contempt of court case against the civil rights lawyer in regards to the tweets made. The senior advocate Rajiv Dhawan, he is suggesting the court, Supreme Court, that let Mr. Venugopal, that is Attorney General, be needed to be heard first. So it is the request or the suggestions made by Rajiv Dhawan, that is senior advocate, that the Attorney General should be given a chance and then he should be heard first, as the case raised severe cardinal issue. What do you mean by cardinal issue? Here in this case, very important issues of the right to criticize the judiciary in public forum. So now the question is that whether an individual or the citizen of India has the right to criticize. Does the citizen has the right to criticize the judiciary, whether it could be in regards to the judicial corruption or the corruption in the judiciary, that too in the public forum? That is what is the question. And then Rajiv Dhawan has been suggesting the Supreme Court that they should first hear Mr. Venugopal, because there are very important issues in regards to the right to criticize the judiciary. And this is again very important keyword which will be very useful for you in regards to the prelims as well as mains examination. In regards to the short notes, there could be a possibility that whether by publicly making a statement in regards to the judiciary or corruption in judiciary, whether it is violating the right of speech and expression. Please do understand, whether it is violating, that is Supreme Court suo motu case, that is contempt of case against the civil rights lawyer Prashant Bhushan, is violating the rights, that is right of speech and expression. This is very important. I think you have understood the importance of this news, why it is in today's news and why we are taking up. It is very useful for you in regards to the mains point of view, in regards to the GS paper 2. So you can definitely focus that there is a possibility that the court will look at the whether it is violating the right to criticize, or the court can go ahead with suo motu whenever an individual criticizes the judiciary in a public forum. And now what we will also focus is question on law. So whether an individual or the citizen can question the law, or you can question the judiciary itself, or you can make a statement against the judiciary itself. And the case now will focus, brought to the focus, pertinent question of law, and this is a keyword. And take it for granted, this would be a very, very possible question, that it is not only just on contempt of court, but it is opening a Pandora box in regards to judiciary itself. That is, the contempt of case in regards to the Prashant Bhushan, civil rights lawyer, is opening a Pandora box, that how the judiciary or the Supreme Court is going ahead with suo motu case against an individual in regards to the contempt of case, when you are raising it or when you are questioning the law, whether it is contempt of case. It includes, that is what I am saying, it includes whether a person who expresses a bona fide, what do you mean by bona fide? It is a genuine, that is genuine opinion, because if X individual, that is Prashant Bhushan, is expressing his genuine opinion about the judicial corruption, is obliged to prove it, or whether it is enough to show that the genuine expression held that opinion. So here the point is that whether an individual can question, basic question is this, whether an individual has the right to question the judiciary, that it is a corrupted one. And what is been expressed is the bona fide, that is his own genuine conscious opinion he has expressed, and whether it is enough to show that his genuine conscious opinion held that, whether it is against the question of law. And this case, why I am saying is, this case will be as a case study, in the future judiciary system itself. That is why I said it has opened, this case, contempt of case on Prashant Bhushan, has opened a Pandora box in the judiciary itself, or judicial system itself. And it involves whether the suo motu, this is important, suo motu powers. There could be a question in the mains on the suo motu powers of the Supreme Court to initiate contempt under Article 129. So, under which article the Supreme Court has gone ahead with the suo motu, or on which article the Supreme Court has the powers to initiate contempt of case on suo motu, that is Article 129. And 129, when it has gone ahead with initiating an contempt of case, it curtails the free speech and expression, and it is restrained by the Contempt of Courts Act 1971. So you have various information here in regards to the prelims point of view. So you have the Article 129 and Contempt of Court 1971. So it will restrain, so it will make sure that it will control or moderate, which by the Contempt of Courts Act 1971. So by the Contempt of Courts Act 1971, the Supreme Court can go ahead with initiating an suo motu case, that is contempt of case, as per the Contempt of Courts Act 1971, but it will curtain, or it is curtaining the freedom of speech and expression. This is that one, the issue will be dealt, and this case also is opening up various avenues. And Mr. Dhawan, the senior advocate, has strongly pitched, that is, he is advocating for the questions to be referred to the constitutional bench. So he wanted a larger bench to be taken up, so that it will be hearing about whether on the question of law is against or violating the freedom of speech and expression, And you also have this case is will also not only on the question of law. Please do understand this keyword. I have said this is also important. Question on law or question of law is the keyword which you have to focus from UPSC perspective, prelims and mains point of view for better understanding. And the other one is due process. Due process is the other one keyword which you need to definitely focus while you are preparing for UPSC. And another question is which is now dealing with in this is whether there is a violation, not only in regards to the violation that we were talking about, or it is against the freedom of speech, but it is also in regards to the violation of due process. Violation of due process. So here the keyword is due process. And what is due process? That is what you need to emphasize, you need to explore the keyword and how it can be framed by the UPSC in the prelims, or it could be asked the importance of the due process based on the contempt of court case against the civil rights lawyer Prashant Bhushan in the mains examination. And due process as suo motu contempt proceedings in the Supreme Court has no provision for appeal. This is very important or useful for you all as a civil servant aspirants preparing for the exam, because the due process, violation of the due process as civil suo motu contempt, because when you are going ahead with the suo motu contempt proceedings in the Supreme Court and this suo motu contempt has no provision for appeal, yes, review petition you can. So the justice, the three judges bench has definitely said that it will definitely again go ahead with hearing the case on October 12. Further, it has been extended to October 12. That is in regards to the contempt of case against a civil rights lawyer in regards to the remarks made while he has given an interview to Telangana magazine in the year 2009. And now we will look at what is the due process. This is again, we are focusing it for prelims and a conceptual better understanding. And due process is the principle that government must respect all the legal rights. So here the government must respect all the legal right that is owned by a person according to the law. So any individual or citizen of India wherein he has all the legal rights as per the law has to be or must be respected by the government. That is what the due process is. So all the legal rights has to be respected, which is can be prevail or which can be used by an individual as per the law. And the due process hold the government subservient. So what do you mean by subservient? So it is preparedness to obey. So the government has to obey the law of the land. That is what due process means. And this is a very useful keyword for you in regards to the preliminary examination. Law of the land, and protects individual from excesses, that is imposing force onto you by the state. So that is the state or the government should be prepared to obey the law of the land, and it should protect the individuals also. And it can be a procedural one or a substantive one. So the two keywords which are very useful here for you all as a civil servant aspirants is the question on law and the due process. And the other news is India and Japan signed logistics agreement. So this is again in regards to the international relations. You have to focus this in for the UPSC perspective point of view, which can be again international when a relations topic I am talking. It could be again part of the IR, that is GS paper 2 in the mains examination, and it can also be asked in the mains. It can be also be part of the prelims IR, that is dynamic of international relation, part of the current affairs. How we will focus, how it can be asked for prelims point of view as a dynamic IR point, current affairs, and also from the mains perspective, because as India and Japan have signed the logistic agreement, whether it will show a greater importance in regards to having a more strategic surveillance in the Indo-Pacific region and Indian Ocean. Please do understand. The India and Japan's logistic agreement, signing of the logistic agreement, whether it will have a strategic importance on the national security of the Indo-Pacific region and the Indian Ocean region. So that can be asked in regards to the mains point of view, and for prelims point of view, we will focus. So India and Japan have signed a logistic agreement, and this is the keyword. This is the keyword. That logistic agreement is the keyword which UPSC will certainly focus, and you as a civil servant as well have to focus on this logistic agreement. And what does this logistic agreement actually be beneficial for both the countries? That will, what it will do, that will allow the armed forces from both these countries, that is India and Japan, to coordinate closely on what? On services and supplies. So it will closely coordinate between the armed forces in regards to all the services and the supplies. So it is in regards to the service and supplies. The logistics agreement is in regards to the service and supplies, and this has been taken up or signed between the Defense Secretary from India's side and then Ambassador of Japan from the Japan side. So it was a telephonic discussion which has taken place between the Prime Minister, that is Narendra Modi from India's side, and from Japan it is Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe, why? And here I say he is outgoing Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Why? Because he is suffering from intestinal cancer or intestinal issues, health ailment. So he has decided that he will resign, and just before he is stepping down as a Prime Minister, this logistic agreement has been signed. So that will be very, very crucial that UPSC might focus, because Shinzo Abe, just before he steps down, or he definitely was, what do you say, he is giving chance for his next Japanese Prime Minister to take over. So before that, this agreement has been signed, and this will be definitely useful, because the logistic agreement will be a greater help, to what? To the maritime cooperation between India and Japan. It will be a greater help for the maritime cooperation, and not only it will have a greater help to the maritime cooperation, but it will also upgrade India-Japan naval exercises, and it will also make sure that it will also share maritime facilities for mutual benefit. So it will be useful for a greater maritime cooperation, and it will also upgrade the naval exercises between India and Japan, and it will also share the maritime facilities for mutual benefits between India and Japan. So here the concept or the keyword is naval exercises. So the logistic agreement will make sure that it is benefiting, or it will impact positively the naval exercise between India and Japan. And the other one which will be a beneficial in regards to the signing of the logistic cooperation is we will have a closer cooperation between India and Japan. So what kind of closer cooperation will it be actually supporting is that we will have a reciprocal provision. We will have a reciprocal, that is give and take. It will have a reciprocal provision of what? Supplies and services. That is what we have discussed, that it will go ahead with having an impact positively in regards to the supplies and services, not only in regards to having a reciprocal provisions, but it will also increase interoperability, and this interoperability is a keyword which you need to focus again, which you can use it in your short notes for the mains examination. So all the keywords are very, very crucial while you are writing your answer in the mains examination. So the keywords are really key for you to score higher marks. A couple of marks will definitely be added to your kitty while you are using or inculcating the keywords. So increasing the interoperability, and here the keyword is the reciprocal provision. So reciprocal provision is a keyword, increase interoperability is a keyword between India and Japan in regards to the armed forces. And not only that, it will also assist in maintaining regional security. So you have in one paragraph, you have three keywords. One is reciprocal provision, the other one is increase of interoperability, and then maintaining regional security are the one which will get closer cooperation between India and Japan because of the signing of the logistic agreement. And this agreement will also enable, what it will enable? Framework for closer cooperation between India and Japan armed forces, and this will clear a path in regards to the bilateral training activities between both the countries' armed forces. Not only in regards to the bilateral training activities that we were talking about, that it will have a framework for closer cooperation. In regards to the bilateral training activities, not only bilateral training activities but also in regards to the United Nations peacekeeping operations, and also the humanitarian international relief and various other mutually agreed activities between India and Japan. So it is the bilateral training activities, United Nations peacekeeping operations, and humanitarian international relief, and all others which are mutually agreed activities between India and Japan also will enable a framework for closer cooperation. And not only that, it will also coordinate on medical requirements, supplies, maintenance, and also airlifting and communication. That is what it is important, because it is a reciprocal provision of supplies and services. So it would be supply in regards to the medical requirement, maintenance definitely in regards to that refueling can be taken up, fine, and also in regards to any kind of spare parts which they have to change, so it can be used. So in regards to this, and which is the other country which India has gone ahead with the logistic agreement. So this is in regards to the India and Japan. So India has also gone ahead with another agreement called as LEMO with USA. Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Understanding. Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Understanding with US. So now there could be a possibility that there were questions being asked in the past in regards to the LEMO between India and US. So now the question could be in the mains also in regards to the logistic agreement signed between India and Japan. And the another news is Rafale, a game changer. So what is a game changer here? The fighter jet. The French Rafale fighter jet is a game changer for Indian Air Force. It is a game changer for Indian Air Force. Who has made this statement? Our Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has made this made this statement because there was an official induction ceremony of 5 Rafales, which were being inducted into a squadron, and that squadron is number 17 Golden Arrow Squadron. And this keyword is again very useful for you in regards to the prelims examination. It might ask that the 5 fighter jets Rafale were inducted into which among the following squadron. So it is number 17 Golden Arrow Squadron. And here it makes it very clear that the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said that it is a game changer. And it is a game changer. Why? Because it will be useful for the security conditions which are prevailing now along the Indian borders. It could be the LAC, it could be LAC between India and China, it could be LOC, or the entire coastal area or coastal surveillance itself. Coastal surveillance itself. Extremely sorry. So it is as per very important in regards to the light of the security condition which India is facing along the borders, and this is the first imported fighter jet which has been inducted way back in late 90s from Russia. That is the fighter jet is which has been inducted from Russia is Sukhoi 30s. Sukhoi 30s. So apart from Sukhoi 30 fighter jet, now we have the 5 Rafales which have been officially inducted into Indian Air Force, and it says that IAF, that is Indian Air Force, plays an important role in maintaining the military deterrence, that is making sure that it will somehow try to have some kind of effect, that is putting an hurdle from the enemy country from any future war. That means he is making a statement that how important the Rafale fighter jets would be acting as a game changer in regards to the security condition of India. Not only in regards to the security condition of India, but we have to also understand the threat in regards to the cross-border terrorism, which is the most important we need to focus. So the Rafales, a game changer. You never know. There could be a question in the mains. Just a statement being given, the Rafales or Rafale fighter jet, Rafale fighter jet, a game changer, a game changer. Comment. There could be a question in the mains. Fine. So, and now what the defense minister is also pitching in along the ceremony, that official inducting of the Rafales, he has also said that India's responsibilities were not just limited to land borders only, but we have to focus in regards to the Indo-Pacific and also the Indian Ocean region. Not only in regards to the Indo-Pacific, but also in the entire Indian Ocean region. And it is certainly working with various international community. Why? Because we are also for the world peace. We propagate peace and tranquility. We have the Panchashil agreement wherein it focuses on peace and tranquility, wherein it focuses on friendship. So definitely, as we have the Panchashil agreement, and based on that we propagate peace with our neighboring countries, as well as we wanted the world peace. So for that, India's responsibility is not just limited to land, but in the Indo-Pacific and also in the Indian Ocean region. And there in the ceremony, the French Defense Minister Florence Parly has also made a statement. She has also made a statement in regards to the strategic partnership between India and France. Strategic partnership between India and France, which it dates back to 1998. And she says that, that is the French Defense Minister, says that India has an edge over other countries in the entire region because of the induction of the Rafales, that is the fighter jets. And she has also made a statement that she plans to reinforce cooperation with India in regards to the maritime, air, space and cyber domains. So definitely India and France are planning, as per the statement made by the French Defense Minister, that they would reinforce the cooperation that would be having a prospects between India and the France, which will have a greater prospect for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region itself. And this is the Rafale, fighter jet Rafale 5, and that will be the big bird, and this Rafale will be the big bird in the sky, big bird in the sky. It could be very useful along the LAC in the Eastern Ladakh, And you have another news which talks about pandemic may force government to borrow more. So definitely we have seen, or we will focus this in regards to the economy point of view, wherein we will be focusing on the keywords that is borrow, or we will be focusing on monetizing the deficit, that is the borrowing plans we will be focusing, and the monetizing the debt. These are the two keywords which we will be focusing, and these two keywords are useful for you from UPSC perspective point of view. So borrowing plans and the monetizing the debt. So these two keywords. So because of the national lockdown, the revenue shortfalls in India are evident. The revenue shortfalls in India are evident, and that is very clearly hitting the Indian economy very bad. Very bad. We have seen that. Even the Goldman Sachs has made it very clear that India's economy will be the worst major economies in the world, and that the center would be forced, to borrow more to make sure that it will try to fill the gap in regards to the revenue shortfalls. So it has to borrow more, but it will only consider monetizing its deficit the last resort. So first is borrowing, and the last resort will be the monetizing the debt. So these two are the very, very useful keywords and the concepts which you need to focus. And definitely the government is reviving, or it is going ahead with making sure that the borrowing plans which by the government and the Reserve Bank of India will be reviving the borrowing plans. So the government and Reserve Bank of India will definitely focus on the borrowing plans, but the possibility of monetizing the debt, that is by the central bank, that is prints money. So what do you mean by monetizing its debts or deficit? It is nothing but printing money. And this printing money, why? It will just bridge the fiscal deficit. It will not really, we cannot overcome the impact or the economic slowdown. It will just bridge the fiscal deficit. Please do understand a keyword again, the fiscal deficit. So the fiscal deficit will, the printing of money or the monetizing the debt will only, which will be taken up by the central bank, which will only bridge the fiscal debt. But it is a bad habit. India kicked in 1997. So definitely there could be a question in regards to the economy in the prelims, that the monetizing the debt or printing the money just to bridge the fiscal debt, which is a bad habit, which we have considered in 1997. And definitely the government and the RBI is reviving the situation in regards to considering the higher borrowing in the current, that is 2021 financial year. But whether we will print money, monetizing the debt, that is not yet decided. Why? Because if we go ahead with monetizing the debt, what will happen is we will experience the inflation risk. So once you monetize the debt, once you go ahead with printing the money, what we will experience, or the nation or the market will experience, is inflation will take place. Not only that, it will potentially harm India's credit rating. So India's credit rating and inflation risk will definitely be surging, or we can experience that once we go ahead with monetizing the debt. So rather than monetizing the debt, the concept of implementing the monetizing the debt or whether to print the money, the government is definitely considering at this moment of higher borrowing. And RBI could also get into the mode, and it has also got into the mode earlier also, to ease the liquidity or to make sure that the banks and the market is of having more of liquidity, that is money, and it has gone ahead with various measures. It has taken up various measures to make sure that there is sufficient liquidity in the banks and also in the market through various measures, and one of the measure is open market operation. Open market operation. So this is the one which is definitely, it is trying to check the squeeze of liquidity and to pump more money into the market so that there would be ease of liquidity, and it has already targeted a record of 12 lakh crores of pumping of money into the banks and into the market, and it has pumped 11 lakh crore of liquidity into the market already, helping a 10-year-old bonds. And definitely the government is deciding to borrow 70% more than last year. So look at it. So the government and the RBI is definitely focusing on the borrowing rather than the monetization of debt or printing money. The concept monetization is what? That whatever assets you have, you will convert it into money or liquidity. So that the government is not focusing, RBI is not focusing at this situation. It is focusing that it has decided to borrow 70% more than last year, so that if we go ahead with monetization debt, it will have impact on India's credit rating, and it will also have inflation risks. So definitely this is the one which will be certainly useful for you, because as I said, the borrowing plans and the monetizing the debt, these are the two keywords which the UPSC will focus, and it is the duty of a civil servant aspirant to know about this in regards to the current, so that it could be asked in the prelims and mains examination. So now we will make sure that we will recapitulate the entire daily news analysis, and we have looked at the Supreme Court has directed the government in regards to the loan moratorium scheme and on the interest on interest. So this one you need to make sure, and the Supreme Court has asked the government and the RBI to brainstorm for another 2 weeks and then come up with the interest on interest. And the Supreme Court, this in regards to again prelims, it is very useful for polity, from polity point of view, the question on law, the two keywords, and in regards to the due process. So India and Japan signed logistic. So this is in regards to the logistic agreement, which will be in regards to the supplies and service, and also helpful in regards to the naval exercises. So from international relations, you can consider this from prelims and also from mains point of view, and and then Rafale, a game changer. This again could be very important in regards to the India's or national security. So not only that we are focusing the national security in regards to the land, but also in the Indo-Pacific region and Indian Ocean. We have to focus that. We have discussed that. Pandemic. So this is again in regards to the economy point of view. We have looked at the two keywords, that is in regards to the borrowing of money, and then the other keyword what we have looked at is the monetization of debt. So these are the two keywords which will be very useful for you in regards to the prelims point of view, and this in regards to the current affairs again which could be for both prelims and mains point of view. So we have discussed at length which are very useful for you in regards to the prelims and mains point of view, and this is a recapitulate of DNA from UPSC prelims and mains perspective. And then I would say a very big thank you, and then good luck, expecting that this session, that is daily news analysis of AKS IAS Academy, has been a very informative and knowledgeable session for you, so that you can have an edge over others in regards to the prelims and mains examination, and having a wider concept of applications in regards to the having that prelims and mains enter total concepts from the macro and micro level perspective. And I would say, before you sign off, do like the video, share the video and subscribe the video, and then do also visit the AKS IAS website, and then also subscribe the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, that is Advanced Knowledge System. And I would say that I would see you again tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. in regards to the daily news analysis. But prior to that, I switch off, or I take a leave. I would say once again reiterate my points that do maintain consistency in your preparation and do stick to your schedule, and then do take care of your physical health and your mental health, and then definitely you will be having that success path very close, inching towards the success path. And I hope this was a very informative, knowledgeable session, and I would take leave now, and then see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.